Hey everyone, welcome back to Exmo's weekly crypto news roundup. Today I have a juicy episode for you covering a lot of Bitcoin news and a little bit of blockchain news as well. So you know the drill. If you want to get caught up to speed, then subscribe down below and sit back, relax, and just keep on watching. Okay, so the first topic I want to cover today is how a record number of investors are holding at least 0.1 Bitcoin or BTC. And this is a study done by Glassnode, or a crypto data aggregator, shows just a few days ago on June 13th that it reached a new record of over 3 million addresses holding at least 0.1 BTC. And here's a chart which kind of gives a good picture of it. You see the number going up and up more. So this is very promising for adoption because more and more newbies are coming in. And of course, you can't expect everyone to just be able to buy one Bitcoin, but they're stacking their sats and they are holding these small amounts of coins and hopefully, for their sake, building it up into larger amounts in the future. So here's also a chart for Ethereum. As you can see, it's a little bit different from Bitcoin because there was a plateau in 2018, 2019, and 2020, but now it's starting to go up and break out again. And so it's setting records as well in terms of Ethereum addresses holding at least 0.1 ETH. And as you can see, the last bull run over here is a huge rise. And so maybe we'll see that again during the next bull run. And this may be an indicator as well as to when the bull run starts. And so next up, just a quick note about Exmo. They got mentioned on a BN Crypto article, which compares various popular European exchanges and kind of sees which one is the best one for various aspects. The main criteria they use in this article is commission fees, web traffic, available currencies, and available languages. So in terms of licenses, right, you want these very well-established, regulated, and licensed exchanges so that they have a much lower chance of something really bad happening or like exit scamming with all your coins. So Exmo is registered in the UK and their European license is in Estonia. And you can compare the other big ones to like Coinbase, Kraken, Bittrex, etc. Now, in terms of trading commission, there's this chart, and we'll leave this article down in the description below as well for you to check out in depth. But essentially, these green highlighted cells means that they are the best in class for that one. And you can see Exmo has a lot of really great trading fees in terms of low commissions compared to the other ones. In terms of web traffic, Exmo also really shines. So that's really interesting. As always, you can go to BN Crypto, and we'll leave the link down below as well for you to check out further. Maybe if you are a European trader or crypto investor, definitely consider Exmo Exchange. So the next topic I want to cover is how Wilshire Phoenix files with the SEC to create a publicly traded Bitcoin-backed fund. They're creating an offering that is very similar to GBTC. GBTC is the most popular one out there, not quite an ETF, but similar. And it lets people get exposure to Bitcoin without actually holding it. And you can trade it like a security in some ways. And so they are filing this an S1 registration with the SEC to, quote, provide investors with exposure to Bitcoin in a manner that is accessible and cost efficient without the uncertain and often complex requirements relating to acquiring or holding Bitcoin. So as you know, it's a way for those institutional crowd or just traditional financial market traders to get access and exposure to Bitcoin in their portfolio without actually going through the process of custody, security, and so forth. And so they're going to do a lot of things similar to GBTC. They're going to follow a Bitcoin price index as listed on the CME or on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. One big difference, though, is that GBTC offers a 2% annual fee, which is really high. And this Wilshire Phoenix fund proposes a lower fee of 0.9%, so less than half. And finally, they're going to use Fidelity digital assets for the custody solution. Pretty interesting, and yet another competitor in that space. Next up, Bitcoin transaction fees fall by 89% in under a month, right? And this is from data from BitInfo charts to show that transaction fees recently averaged 71 cents. And last month, when it was really heavy usage around the halving, it was up to $6.65. They were sky high last month, and now they have dipped and stabilized to roughly 71 cents, right? And so when the halving came, transaction fees rose like many experts predicted, but now they've been on a gradual slope downwards. So this is pretty cool for people who want to do on-chain transactions. And if you remember, back at its busiest time ever back in December 2017 during the peak of the last bull run. Transaction fees reached an all-time high of $55. That was pretty crazy back in that time. So just something to note, depending on how you see it, if you want to send on-chain transactions, this is good news for you. Last but not least, shifting focus from Bitcoin for a bit to the general world of blockchain adoption, I want to share with you some news from the Deloitte 2020 survey, where they surveyed a lot of executives and companies that are integrating blockchain technology into their operations. This year, 39% surveyed said they are already doing so, a sharp increase from 23% who answered that way in 2019. And this is according to their latest global blockchain survey, which you can check out yourself. They surveyed quite a bit of people, around 1,500 senior executives from 14 different countries and territories. And a lot of them said that blockchain is one of their top strategic priorities. And you can see in this chart the huge increase in number of people who said that they're already bringing blockchain into production. So this is huge news. This is no longer just like pilots or just saying that they're going to check it out. This is actually in production. And they are also looking at companies with huge revenues, actual revenues, not just like seed stage companies saying that they're going to do so. Another really interesting component is that different countries have different levels of blockchain adoption, right? In the United States, it's slower to adopt with only roughly 31% responding so. Whereas in China, you remember their big national push to adopt blockchain and other technology? Well, they have 59% saying that they are doing so. So this is something that we see in the region, and the APAC region stood at pretty high levels, whereas other places lower. And finally, an interesting point by this Deloitte survey is that in terms of cryptocurrency, which is not the exact same thing as blockchain, a lot of people are bullish on digital assets becoming a replacement for fiat currencies. So that is quite interesting to see how the tide is changing in terms of adoption and sentiment for executives and big corporations around the world. All right, so that's it for today's Crypto Weekly News Roundup. As always, I hope to deliver very interesting topics in an easy, bite-sized manner so you can get caught up to speed without spending too much time digesting and finding interesting articles yourself. So please subscribe down below to catch next week's. I'm Kevin for Exmo's Weekly Crypto News Roundup, and I'll see y'all next week.